All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. All fun and no work makes Tom a jobless hobo. But a little bit of each makes Jack and Tom best friends forever. Well, maybe not that last part. Welcome back to Somora Stories. Today, we dive into the haunting final days of one of America's greatest writers, a man whose own death became a mystery worthy of his tales. This is the story of Edgar Allan Poe. On October 3rd, 1849, Poe was found wandering the streets of Baltimore, Maryland, delirious and muttering to himself. A man who recognized him, though, despite his strange state, helped him put on his shoes and coat, the clothes we can assume he'd been wearing when found, as well as those belonging to a man he'd encountered named Reynolds. They then took him to the nearest hospital, where Poe spent the next 4 days drifting in and out of consciousness. He was clearly unwell and would occasionally cry out, saying, "Oh Lord, help my poor soul," though he never regained his senses enough to explain how he ended up in this state. Poe died on October 7, 1849, with these possibly being his last words. It's an eerie tale, but it gets stranger. See, all of Poe's medical records mysteriously no longer exist, so we may never know exactly what was wrong with him during those final days, which only adds to the mystery surrounding his death. Over the years, countless theories have tried to explain Poe's death, such as alcohol poisoning. Given his struggles with substance abuse, some believe he simply drank himself to death. However, others argue he'd actually sworn off alcohol in 1848 after the death of his wife, Virginia opting instead to smoke opium, which could explain his delirium. But what about something more sinister? Could foul play have taken Poe's life? Some believe he was the victim of a crime, pointing to his odd behavior and the fact that he was found without identification or any money on him. Theories suggest he may have been walking back to Baltimore after attending a friend's funeral in Philadelphia. And during the journey, he was attacked, perhaps by fellow travelers on the stagecoach he shared. But there's no evidence to support this, and it's merely speculation that he was robbed. After all, the clothes on his body didn't belong to him, leading some to wonder if whoever had them simply wanted him to wear them so he could unidentify himself. If so, why? Was Poe targeted specifically, or was it a random occurrence? Unfortunately, we may never know. Another possibility is illness. Perhaps Poe was afflicted by rabies, given that animals sometimes bite people without provocation, as well as the fact that a rabid animal had bitten his sister Rosalie years prior to his death. It's also possible he contracted syphilis, a sexually transmitted infection, which could explain his mental state and eventual death. Still, there's no concrete proof of either of these, but rather educated guesses based on symptoms alone. In fact, a brain tumor has also been suggested, though that's highly speculative as well. Then there's cooping, a disturbing practice common in the 1800s where people were kidnapped and forced to vote multiple times in elections before being abandoned. Given that Poe was found disheveled and confused, many believe he may have been a victim. While he was an outspoken critic of President Taylor, some say he may have been taken out by Taylor's political enemies to make it seem like Taylor's opponents had done it, perpetuating a cycle of violence and blame. There's no evidence to support this, however, and it remains just another theory in a sea of possibilities. But could there be something even stranger at foot? Is it possible that Poe's death was as mysterious as his dark tales, cursed by the very Gothic world he created? Some believe that he was already dead when found, killed by a secret society of fellow writers who disapproved of his work. Then there's the haunting theory that Poe was abducted by aliens, given that some of his stories share similarities with supposed alien abductions, while others point to his writings describing astronomical phenomena that were unknown at the time, suggesting extraterrestrial knowledge. Some even say his death was foretold in a strange incident 5 years earlier when Poe claimed to have seen the ghost of a man who looked exactly like him except for his clothes, which were inside out and backwards, just like Poe was found. Could this have been a premonition? Was this ghostly vision an omen of his own death? Edgar Allan Poe's death remains one of literature's greatest unsolved mysteries. Even today, scholars and fans debate what truly happened to him. Was it madness, murder, a mystery too dark to ever solve, or, as some believe, a combination of all three? Whatever the truth, we may never know. So, how do you think Poe met his end? Share your theory in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Somora Stories for more haunting mysteries, legends, and chilling tales from history. Until next time, remember, some stories are best left untold.